What's going on, guys? We are running a little short-handed tonight. Unfortunately, our fearless host, Mr. Benjamin, is taking care of his family, which, well, if the husbands didn't know better, then we would not be taking care of our families, and we would know that they come first. So,
Yep.
send prayers up to the husband, that sect of the husband clan and they can get through this. So here we are. It is Mr. Daryl and I, or Dad, as I'd like to say, hosting, and we really don't want to. We normally want to just run it with just two of us, but instead we decided to jump on the presses while they're hot, because as of about half an hour ago, the Dallas Mavericks drunkenly stumbled into the first round pick of the draft. And well, before I was talking to my dad on the phone, and we just were like, we got to record this. So we are gonna hopefully not bore you guys without Ben, and hopefully don't hurt any feelings for uh, continuing on with the show. So, Dad, who wants to talk about Nico Harris first?
I gotta go. I'm ready to explode.
Or should we talk about how Silver just saved his job and his career and all of his
He's the luckiest man on earth.
to
He's the
be
luckiest man
fair,
on earth. He,
the new Mavericks owners do own casinos. So I think there's something to be said about those.
I mean, maybe, and I wonder. San Antonio got the second pick, so they were this close to
Yeah,
getting two number one picks in 3 years, and
Cooper
that I would
Flag
be furious.
and Wembanyama. And let's just put this one out there. Had they nabbed Cooper Flag, there's a possibility of having three back-to-back-to-back rookies of the year. And
Yeah,
it's still in the cards. It's
yeah,
still in the cards. They still could
insane.
knock this pick out of the park, which they're the Spurs, and why the heck not?
Well,
It
I'm
is
glad it is not
it
because
is a
that would
good
really a lot of people would be questioning the integrity of the NBA. I
I mean,
mean, we're
I
part of
think
the roster
everybody's
around.
questioning the integrity of the NBA right now. The Hornets are the worst team with the best pick, and they are picking fourth. They're
Yep.
picking fourth. The poor Wizards, the lowly Wizards, are picking six, and the Jazz are picking five. Are you kidding me? What a fall from grace. And so what I was going to ask you originally before all of this had transpired was, and before the Mavericks lucked into it, as I was going to ask you, who was the one team you were hoping wouldn't get the top pick? And it seems like
Oh, it's San Antonio
it,
because it would just blow the integrity. Everyone would be looking like there's no integrity. You can't be that lucky. You just can't.
I mean, I would have been more. I mean, the Mavericks were up there, but for their fan base, I'm happy. I'm happy for their fan base, but I honestly, it would have been if the Sixers had gotten the first pick. I think I would have actually thrown my laptop across the room.
I mean, I can understand that
They just paid Embiid. They just paid Embiid $1 billion to not play and have a questionable career, and then they just, oh my gosh, we got the first pick. I would have been so mad.
yeah. And I understand the sympathy towards Charlotte and the Wizards in Utah. I mean, they really were the three worst teams all year long. They
Mhm.
really were. And to miss out on the top three picks, you do have to shake your head about that. But they are only like, what was it, 17% odds?
14.
12%? 14?
14. I think it's like 14.25.
Okay. And they all have the same, the three of
Mhm.
them all. So it was, 14 for each one of them. And Dallas had, I think, a 3.8, um,
Not much.
which
I
wasn't
mean,
much, but.
this is the same thing as the year that Ja and Zion were drafted. I mean, the Grizzlies and the Pelicans had a very low chance of nailing the first round picks or the first two picks, and they lucked into them. And that was the first year they decided to flatten the odds more or
Yeah,
give them equal playing ground.
yeah. Going back a ways, there have been back-to-back number one lottery picks for Cleveland and Orlando.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's not never been done. And for Cleveland, both those picks ended up to be nothing for them. Really, they traded them away
No, that's
for
not
Kevin
true.
Love.
But that does count because Kevin Love, say what you will about that 2016 championship run, they still needed Kevin Love to nab that title. So say what you will.
Oh,
I
right.
mean, those picks did come into handy, although I I don't think we could say too much about Mr. Bennett's career.
Uh,
Wiggins is still figuring it out, but
I mean, Wiggins, it's been a decent career, and if you compare him to some of the other non-superstar number one picks, he's he's okay. It's not a bad career, it really isn't. And he won a
no.
championship.
Yeah.
He was a
And an
key member
all-star
of the
and an
Minnesota
all-star nod.
and an All-Star nod. So I mean, it isn't a horrible career if it ended right now. So the Anthony Bennett one for sure, and yeah, it got Cleveland the missing piece that they needed to win that championship. But I think as far as benefiting them by having the two first picks, well, not really, because neither guy played a minute for him.
Well, I mean, Anthony Bennett played about 30 seconds there and 20 seconds there, and it does add up to a minute after a while.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, I'll never forget those stats. I will say though, not to put the tinfoil hat on too much, but I always do, find the narratives around the drafts a little interesting, especially when you take into effect. So Cleveland lucked into the first round pick. Um, Granted they got Kyrie with the Clippers pick, but they still got that pick, and then managed to get Anthony Bennett and Aaron
Andrew
Wiggins, pretty much
Andrew
back to back. What's that?
Andrew Wiggins, not Aaron
Oh my
Wiggins.
gosh. Sorry, I was thinking of the better player. Kidding. Um,
Well, right now he's still playing.
yeah.
Andrew Wiggins is not.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said it, Aaron. But the Pelicans lucked into the first round, the first pick of the draft after Chris Paul landed. And then they got Zion after Anthony Davis got traded. And you know, I've always been just a little bit, reading the tea leaves a little bit too much on this one, but you start noticing some of these patterns, and it just leaves a funny taste in your mouth, especially when you bring into the Pelicans, who were owned by the league once upon a time, and for a brief spell. And the Pelicans have always been a team that, they may not be the poorest franchise in the league. They always are I would say, one of the lowliest teams in the league. And then you bring the Cavs into losing LeBron, and now you bring the Mavs into it, into the conspiracy, and we can even date this back to, Patrick Ewing. And then if you really want to keep on going down the path, you can also bring in the Spurs with this one.
Well,
Granted
back
they
then,
suffered a little bit for it.
there wasn't a lottery back then. I mean, they just gave the first pick to the team with the worst record.
Sure.
That's how Hakeem Olajuwon was drafted. I mean, Houston 100% tanked the year before, that they drafted him.
Mhm.
And so, going further back, you've got Duncan and David Robinson, both number one picks. Well, they really were awful. And I remember that year that San Antonio um,
Got
got
Duncan.
got Duncan, but I mean before that David Robinson played like 12 total games. And I remember saying, well, he should be the MVP of the league because without him, the Spurs are awful. And they were terrible. But, back then it wasn't records, or I mean, it wasn't ping pong balls. It was, based on your record. So, uh,
Which always runs into the conversation of, is the lottery better than, well, I was about to say merit based, but I don't think losing the most amount of games is merit.
no. And that's what would happen if you had a Wembenyama or a Tim Duncan, someone who's a sure thing. Everyone would lose. If you didn't have a playoff bound team, you would just lose like there's no tomorrow. You'd cut all your, or you bench all your really good players, and you bring up all the G League guys and have them play 82 games.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's not good for the league because no one wants to watch that kind of basketball. I mean, have you ever watched a G League game?
I mean, I've seen G League players play. I mean,
I mean,
I
I
will
have, but
say,
there's barely fit. If there's 50 people in the stands, that's it.
I
And
think the thing about the G League is that they're more of like for anybody that might not be a part of the Rochester cult, I think G League teams are more of like, just having those like, small, I mean, obviously it's small league teams like the Rochester Razor Sharks. We went to a few of those games and they were fun.
yeah,
You're not good enough to have an NBA team, but you have a G League team. That's pretty awesome. I bet you if we had a G League game, or I bet you if we had a G League team, we would be at plenty of those. You and I would, and well, when Ben's in town,
yeah,
we would go to at least two or three games every year.
absolutely, absolutely.
So I think G League games or teams are just more for the locals. It's not something that you're just gonna sit there and be like, all right, I'm gonna follow the Memphis hustle all season long, and maybe I'll see Zion Poland come back from injury and shoot the lights out.
They their games look like bad college basketball.
Mhm.
It's all these guys trying to make their way, and so they're going to do a lot of one-on-one stuff, and they're really not looking to pass the ball.
Well, it depends on it. I will say this: it does depend on um, it does depend on the team, who it is. Like the Hustle have a very good organization. They're always one. It really just depends on it. Some teams utilize their G League affiliates. Some teams just treat them as the pesky little brother. Who
JB
is me,
Bickerstaff,
actually.
when he was with you guys,
What's
used
that?
when JB Bickerstaff. I remember him when he was with you guys as head coach.
Yeah.
That he was using the G League to develop his guys if they weren't performing well.
hmm Yeah, and it's still prominent in Memphis culture, anyways. Like, we, say what you will. Scottie Pippen was on a two-way contract. John Conchar was a G League two-way contract. Obviously Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson, Cam Spencer's currently on one, and I have a big thought that he is going to be probably converted into a regular contract. It really depends on the, which teams are doing it. And that's, you know, trying to circle, it's probably circling it back because I think we went down a really deep bunny trail on this one. I think that's why these late round draft picks are so valuable because, some teams know how to use them and some teams don't. And if you know, and when you're getting into when you're in the second round draft picks, you got to be well versed with your G League affiliate because that is how you make solid rotation players. Or at the very least, your 10th or 11th guy when it's the middle of January and you're playing the Boston Celtics or the Memphis Grizzlies and you're down points with 8 minutes left, and you don't want to look completely foolish.
Right. Interesting. Just I'm going to throw this in there. Some notes that I had from the playoffs. So the Denver Nuggets are basically playing six guys. Westbrook coming off the bench and starting
Yep.
five. They have two guys that come in and actually, they're getting a few minutes. They're not, all stars or anything like that. Um, I got to get their names right. Peyton Watson
Yep.
and Julian Strother.
Author.
So, I mean, these are long guys who probably play some great defense. Watson actually was their first round draft pick after they won the championship.
Hmm.
It was number 30, first round,
Yeah.
number 30. And, you know,
Christian
you
Brown
look
was a
at these,
late round draft pick too.
pardon me?
Christian Brown was a late round draft pick too. Same with MPJ if you really want to keep on going down that path.
Hmm, I didn't know that
And
about Michael Porter.
oh
Oh,
yeah, no, he felt
no, Porter was in the number 15. Wasn't he like,
he fe- he was originally supposed to go top five,
yeah, but he had that back issue.
but he's originally projected top five.
Yeah,
Oh, there
but
goes
no
my
one
light.
wanted to touch him because of the back situation.
Apologies for the light, everyone. I thought I had enough light on the game.
There we go. We still see you,
Yeah.
but I was just going
Uh,
to add a couple other guys.
this is a rough cut this is a rough cut episode, so it's not supposed to be pretty.
Yeah. I was just going to throw in OKC's got a couple of guys like that too.
Hmm.
Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace. They're solid contributors that they drafted themselves and
Yep.
they're developing.
Hmm.
And, they're at least playing a few more minutes than Watson and Strother. Um, but it goes back to developing your guys. And I can I can name a lot of number one or first round picks for the Celtics who, after they left us, went absolutely nowhere. Um, and it depends on, you know, your organization. There are also guys, that we drafted. You can look at Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard. These are homegrown guys that, um, we've developed, we've used, and they're essential to us. Sam Hauser, another one. You know?
I was I was gonna say, which is proof that it doesn't matter whether you have the first pick or not. You can still pick an all-star. However, the Dallas Mavericks getting Cooper Flag is still insane.
Yeah.
A
Yep.
team all-star. Yeah, it's funny though. I heard this. Uh homegrown talent always is more valuable than somebody that you signed and explodes for you on your team.
Yeah.
Teams
Oh, yeah.
teams always value that more than your,
Free
you
agents.
know, yeah. Like I am gonna value, oh, let's say, um,
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
oh, I was gonna go Memphis Grizzlies, man. Like, well, of course you're gonna value Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum more. I was
Oh,
just gonna say
John Morant and JJJ.
Santi Aldama. I was gonna say actually is a little bit more of a reasonable one,
Yep. Dude,
but
what's going on with your light there?
my light, oh, it's great. I was gonna try getting it up and running while we were talking. However, it was just being silly. So I am just gonna do this.
The one tough thing about when you draft and you hit on guys, you
Mhm.
end up with two um, first team All NBA guys and JB and Tatum, and now you got to pay them super max.
That's what I struggle with the new CBA is it does not value the homegrown small market teams, I feel like it still hurts the homegrown small market team more.
It does. That thing was for the teams that can't draft, like Washington and Charlotte.
Hmm.
And I
I
mean,
disagree with
maybe
that.
I'm not sure how long this new contract goes. My guess would be 5 or 6 years, but I think they're going to get pretty sick of it because you saw it with Luca. Okay,
Hmm.
now you got to give him a super max deal.
I never liked the
Yeah.
Supermax deal, honestly. I always thought it was like it's great for the players, but I always hated it because it always had too many ramifications on it.
Well, right, and when you do have a salary cap for this league, if it was like baseball,
Hmm.
and you could pay whatever you wanted, like the Yankees and the Dodgers, okay, but in a salary cap league, you give Luca or Tatum or Brown supermax deals. I'm really trying to figure out how the Celtics are going to make this work with Tatum and Brown next year,
I
both
mean, I'm
making.
trying to figure out how the Grizzlies can manage it to win a championship someday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not good for the small market teams or the teams that have gone through the ringer. Like the war, this will be a nice little parlay. The Warriors would have never been able to create their dynasty had this been the current CBA or had they been dealing with the current CBA.
Right.
There's
Right. They
no
would
way.
never have been able to do Durant.
Yeah, they would have, yeah, well, and well, we could rip on that one for a whole half hour on that whole nonsense, but on how that got botched. But I I just don't like it. Eh, it doesn't. I heard Bill Simmons mention that they should give like a little bit of like a you get a percentage off if the team if you're with like accounting towards your cap. Like if you're a part of the team that originally,
Yeah,
um,
thank you.
drafted you. So Tatum, you get like they take off like I don't know 25% of his 25% of his salary doesn't count towards your cap or something like that.
I mean, if he's making, what is he making? 60 million or 58? I think
Mhm.
58 for Jalen and 60 for Jason. I
I mean,
mean,
it's like
you
120
take
million
20.
between two players essentially.
Yep. But you take 20% off, it's $12 million off of
And that
JT.
but that is a solid role player you can keep.
Yeah. I just can't understand. Right. 12 million. Great point that you could have a solid role player discounted to you because you drafted well,
Mhm.
developed well. Early on, I was trying to see what Jason Tatum was so great about. I didn't think he was, I thought he was good. You never know because this is a process and you've got to look at a player 3 or 4 years down the road before you give him that second contract.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
And,
it's completely true. The means to get this all figured out is ridiculous. And there's so many um oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? There's so many variables that go into it too. You give them a massive contract and then they get injured and they tear their Achilles the next year. And
Gordon
like granted
Hayward,
that yeah,
you know, got a
you
max
guys
contract. He never worked out for us.
hmm
You
Or
know,
you could be like Chandler Parsons and just not even show up.
I don't have a right to complain. You
It's
can bring
fine.
that one up for the rest of our lives. I'll
Oh
never
man,
be
it
able
well,
to top that one.
it's funny when it's funny when they had uh he and Evan Turner were having a little spat, and looking back with the hindsight being 2020, it's like, man, you guys both sucked.
Yep.
I had mentioned the Golden State Warriors earlier. It's something, Dad, you had uh, something you had said you wanted to talk about was Mr. Draymond Green being in the news.
Oh, we're going to switch right
And
to that.
yeah, we were
Okay,
gonna
I
switch
said it would be
right
a
to that.
1 minute deal. Okay, so I'm going to just preface this.
You can
Rudy
have 2 minutes.
Gobert,
I'll give
we've
you two
already
minutes.
proven we've already proven that Rudy Gobert watches this podcast because he balled out the last game of the series. So here, Draymond Green, you need to watch our podcast. We do not hate you because you're an angry black man. We don't even think of you as an angry black man. We hate you because you're a dirty player. You're a dirty player like Bill Laimbeer, Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks. It doesn't matter the color, white or black. We hate dirty players, and that's why you get heckled. That's all I have. Okay.
I,
Did I stick to my 1 minute?
I mean, I think it was like 30 seconds, but I was gonna say if Rudy Gobert is watching this podcast, I can promise you Draymond Green does not watch this is not gonna watch this podcast because they hate each other. And if it's something, if Rudy Gobert likes something, I can promise you Draymond Green does not like it.
Well, they're both former defensive players of the year, and I
One just
wish I
has
had
more
my.
trophies than the other.
I was just going to say, I wish I had my Marcus Smart shirt on for my defensive player of the year, so I could be repping my favorite DPOY.
I have a black shirt on to represent the Grizzlies season and the other 14 teams that did not um, pay off the commissioner to get the first round draft pick.
Is that what you think Dallas did?
I'm not saying they paid him off, but my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah, we're just gonna circle back to that. Here's the deal. We're just gonna run it through, and this is where we're gonna wrap up with, guys. Like I said, this is a rough cut episode, so apologies if the continuity is a little spotty. We start out with Dallas. We got San Antonio. We got Philly, and then you have Charlotte, Utah, and Washington, and I don't care about the rest. But I'm just like, are you? This is how the draft went this year. This is how the draft went. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I mean, hey, it's for silver content, man. We get our content.
Yeah,
For everybody
thanks.
else, for everybody else, we're gonna go punch a hole in the wall and maybe break our phones and be up till. Oh my gosh, I can't. I can't believe they got the first pick. Do you know? I'm gonna cut us off on this. Do you know the Utah Jazz have never gotten a first pick in the draft? They've never gotten a
It's
first
about
round pick
right.
or never gotten the first pick in the draft. They had the second worst record or the second or first no, second worst record in the league.
No, they had the worst.
Oh, they did have the worst?
Yep.
Okay, that proves my point. They had the worst record in the league. They were that bad. And they finished fifth, and they have never gotten a draft. R.I.P. Danny Ainge.
Yep. All right, we closing off.
I think this is where we should wrap up before Zoom makes me pay money for an extended session. I think I don't think we could pound this into the ground anymore with our jabs the at jabs at the league. Guys, thanks for listening. Do the classic like, comment, share, subscribe if you find our voices enticing. Ben will be back with us soon. Again, send some prayers towards he and his family that they can just fight through this bug. For my dad and I, this is Husbands Know Better, and we will see you soon, however, the three of us.